Hey everybody, Cole told me that I should introduce myself on this video as Isaiah, since losing my beard and a good deal of my hair to a haircut usually takes a few years off of me. Anyway, it's good to be turning my mind here to you all on this Monday afternoon, and I hope that as you've maybe settled back into your routine a little bit this week, that you found some rest and some peace, even as I'm sure that you, like I, are still digesting what we experienced together at Sunlight, and especially in the Weminuche. I've been thinking about how something that characterizes the wilderness for us, because it's not a place of regular human habitation or a place to which we're well adapted, is that it breaks us down. It obviously it wears us out, but it exposes us to all kinds of fears and discomforts, and even to an intimacy with one another that is full of challenges and frustrations and sometimes pain. And the consequence of that tearing us down is, I think, some acute vulnerability, because what our physical and other defenses have managed to sort of keep in, when they break down, allow our bodies to express perhaps some of what we've been holding in. And so I felt some of that myself, and I've been digesting that this week, and I expect that you are too. I don't think I realized how much of this class was going to be a matter of sort of personal spiritual transformation. You know, I think I imagined that we would be obviously sharing an intense experience together, but that it would turn our minds especially to the kinds of big questions that I wanted us to wrestle with in the class. And I'm realizing as I'm settling back in that a big part of this class is about how it affects each of us personally, in the way that we relate to God, in the way that we know ourselves, know others. So I think that is maybe a gift, even if it's fraught as well with a variety of discomforts. Well, I got to show you guys something. So as soon as I got back, you know, I had to change the appearance of my office, even superficially, so that I could, I wonder if you're going to be able to see this. Check out my new picture on my office wall right as I come in the door. Wilderness and Earthkeeping 1.0. Yeah, I'm already cherishing our memory, and I wanted to have that cool picture as I walked into my office every day. So what we have coming up for this week, a little bit more than last week, as I want to try to begin to develop some of our thoughts for what we're going to be taking away from this class. And First, I am going to send you back, as you'll see in the first forum, to the spot in your place that you videoed yourself in earlier in the course. I think it was way back in week 2, maybe. And I want you to go back to that spot and take your phone and video yourself in the place, and maybe express to us how you feel your perception of that spot in your place has been changed by our experience together in the wilderness. And what you say might go in any number of directions. There might be new questions that you ask yourself that you didn't know to ask before. There might be a new kind of sensory stimulus that you didn't feel very attuned to before, but now is sort of commanding your attention in that particular spot. Because our experience in the wilderness dealt significantly with memory, the history of the place that we were in. At least that was something that we talked about, and how the social fabric that we're now part of is full of wounds from a largely forgotten past. Maybe that is something that will press itself upon you in your spot and make you ask questions about your place that involve your memory of it, maybe the public memory of it. Who gets to enjoy that place or not, and why? If, by the way, our experience makes you want to go to a different place for whatever reason, that's okay. I think I'd prefer that you go back to the same place, because I want us to kind of let the wilderness seep into that place as something that we're part of. But if some other place is really significant in your mind now because of our time together in the Weminuche, then go there. That would be just fine. And it's just a couple, 3 minutes again. If for some reason you have like writer's block or whatever the equivalent of that is when you are going to film yourself talking about something, if nothing, you really don't feel like you have anything to say about that place, that's okay too. We don't need to force it. Maybe you could just reflect on our experience together in that place with whatever thoughts you're currently having about our days together in the Weminuche. That would be fine too. At the end of the day, we want to just see your face and hear your voice too. The readings for this week, I think, based on the responses to last week, are going to be a good continuation of your thinking and our conversation. I'm having you read the story of Jesus' being tempted by the devil in the wilderness in Matthew, which segues directly to his settling in the town of Capernaum. And so I want you to ponder that passage and that particular movement of Jesus from wilderness to town, and what that movement tells us about him, about who he is, about who God is as revealed in and through Jesus' way, Jesus' life, and how that is a call to us as we are now settling back into our urban places. And then there are 3 essays that we're going to read. First, an essay from this collection by W.E.B. Du Bois, Dark Water. It's an essay called Of Beauty and Death. It's a dense, lyrical essay, and you'll find in there, I think, another compelling description of the Grand Canyon that is worked into the kind of the branches, the thematic branches of this essay. And of course, in many ways, it's an essay ahead of its time because it is relating the racial hostility that W.E.B. Du Bois knew in his own body to landscape, land, and especially wild land. The Grand Canyon is so wild. And he perceives the wildness of God in the Grand Canyon and probes how that mode of God's presence impinges upon the way we have come to live together in this part of the world. So a lot to learn from that essay, and it goes quite well, I think, with the other two. The second one being an essay called The Whole Horse by Wendell Berry, an essay that compares an agrarian way of living with the now predominant industrialized way of living. And you'll be glad to know that, like Ellen Davis, Wendell Berry is not trying to attend to agrarian ways as somehow incompatible with cities. Instead, he's inviting us to learn from agrarian sensibilities how we might live beautifully, sustainably, justly in our cities, which of course means that most of our cities need to drastically change. But there's some, I think, very practical as well as intellectually sophisticated ways of thinking about urban life that I hope you're especially kind of well situated now to consider. And then finally there's an essay by, I should say about Berry's essay that you'll have to remember what we said before about the kind of intermediate space in some ways between wilderness and city that is cultivated land, farmland. Ellen Davis was, of course, urging us to consider urban places as fit for agriculture. But Berry is talking about agriculture as something that is intimately related to life in the city, but not immediately within the city in the usual way, and so trying to urge a healthier relationship between farmland and urban places. And this, of course, has to do with the way the wild is present in both farmland and urban places and in their relationship. So finally, it's an essay by Jenny Price that I think will be good for all of us. It is focused on L.A., but it treats L.A. as a city that is iconic in a way that can help other cities to learn from the difficulties of Los Angeles in trying to be healthy cities. It's called 13 Ways to See Nature in L.A. Lots that I could say about nature. I'll probably have a podcast for you that challenges that concept a little bit, but I think it's a really insightful and beautifully written essay. And I hope that you'll notice that in all three of our essays there is an abiding theme of hope. And that is something I think we all need to meditate on.